Today in the shop, we worked on our GS1100E wheel, the rear wheel, and we've got about half of it done today. It's a very labor-intensive thing to remove the anodizing and level out all the casting marks and remove the lettering that Suzuki pressed into the wheel, or cast into it, I should say. It's a dirty job, a filthy job, but when you're done, if you want custom wheels and you don't want to spend $1,000 a piece, this is about the only way I know of to have them. Now it's always a special day for me. Rip is getting ready to come down here today. I guess I'll wait for him before I even start the day's work, because delivering the part to our clients is always the best part of this job. And this part, I think we brought it back from the grave in a good way. We've replaced the rubber bushings, gotten the right bolts that it belongs on, did a little touch-up paint, ran a buffing wheel over it. I think it's ready to put back on the bike. And I hope when it goes back on they don't stress anything, put any more cracks in it. But if they do, the warranty is good. Well, I didn't mention there's no warranty. Anyway, we're going to get with Rip, deliver the part, and I'm excited about seeing the look on his face. You know what it's like, now Karen watches all these home shows about people renovating houses for people and whatever. And it's always at the end when they unveil the house and they say, look at your kitchen. Oh, you got granite. Oh my God, your bathroom, you can flush the toilet. And they're all excited about it. Well, sometimes when Luciano picks up a thing, or Mark Morgan or somebody, I see the look on their face. They really do appreciate a mitzvah. Now, as Karen always reminds me, the beauty of being a cook, the joy of being a cook, is when you see your family, your children, or your friends enjoying the food you've made for them. Well, yeah, I enjoy this kind of little mitzvah when I can do this for somebody, and I know Rip will enjoy this. He's a dyed-in-the-wool motorcyclist, as we all are in the A-team. Not just somebody coming in next week you'll find out he's playing golf or something. This always really floats my boat in a special way. So I've got things to test, but today is not going to be the day. I have the real good GoPro thing that came the other day. And I know Turbo Steve, I would love to get together with him and see if we can even improve the video more and do it with one of the naked bikes. But you know what? When it's this cold, I'm sorry, I'm not riding. And years ago I did. You know, to be honest, years ago I did. And I look back and I go, I ain't that tough anymore. And I'm not sure I was that tough years ago. I just suffered a lot. And of course, one thing's for sure. We have made a career at affixing unfixable fairings. Basically for Mark Morgan, some for Glenn. I know Glenn was impressed at one time that we were able to do it. Now he's able to do it, and he can pass that information on. And we're also, on this video, we're going to pick up the wheel restoration. And I hope that's going to be an enjoyable thing. And at some point in time, we're going to be adding that to our, I don't know what to call this. I've owned it. You have a special feeling in you for a motorcycle when you've owned it since new. I don't know what that feeling is. I don't know how to communicate it, but I know it's there. And not everybody is in love with the GS. The only problem is I am. This really is a bike I have totally enjoyed since 1982 when I was a young whippersnapper. And when you own a bike from the day it was new, I don't know what that feeling is. I don't know how to communicate it. But, well, I always count these are my children in a roundabout way. And these are my stepchildren. And then we have some orphans. We have two orphans here that are now officially ports bikes. But even the orphans have a special place in my heart. They really do. And it is cold and the wind is blowing, but the fairing's moving around. I better put it in the garage. I wanted to see what it looked like out in the sun. Well, I think we better put it in the garage until Rip gets here. Now, unfortunately, we still have ice on the pond. We still have a little bit of residual snow. And boy, it is brutal. I'm so glad I got that wheel to work on today. So we have our wheel. We're going to start doing our grinding today. And we got, I think in the next day or so, Joe will have the red paint. That'll make that project. We got to restore the disc. We got to do all the work with the tires. But And maybe, I don't know if Joe's got some replacement for that rubber that goes in there, or he wants to use that piece I have. Luciano made a good suggestion. He said, get a thinner piece of rubber, 1/4 inch. That's what he would do. Well, he's got a lot of Ducatis. He knows about Ducatis. While I'm waiting for Rip, I think I'll have an extra cup of coffee. He's usually on time now, unlike some of my friends. There he is, the outlaw of the universe. Look, he tried to steal that fairing when I wasn't home. Oh, I wish I could offer you coffee, but you know how it is.
Good. I got Norm out in the car. I can't leave
Okay.
it. Amazing.
See, the part of it that's hard to do is you got to get the holes to all line up.
I know.
You think it's not important until the day you go to put it on the bike, and then all of a sudden, oh, that great job. The holes don't line up.
You did it so smart, too.
No, that's the way to do it.
You know?
And try to get it that everything is floating in rubber.
Right.
That it won't crack here. Because when guys that don't realize how important those rubber bushings
Exactly.
are. Any bike, doesn't matter what bike.
Right.
And you got all the parts here, the blinkers?
Yeah, I got everything in a box.
Okay,
So
yeah, I got spares for a lot of that stuff, so if you need them.
So do I, because when I bought this one, it wasn't this color, it was gray.
Okay,
so I bought all yellow bodywork for
What'd you do with the gray bodywork?
I've got it in the shed.
And
when I bought the second one, it was all a different color. It was all hand
Right.
So I went and I bought on eBay. I bought the bodywork for it.
So you're like an evil twin that hasn't been born yet.
Right.
How can somebody our age not be born yet? Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that really did come out good. I think that
came out fantastic.
When I see you riding around on the MotoGP circuit and you go past Valentino Rossi or Vince or something.
Well, that's my name for my modem.
Rip
Rossi.
Rip Rossi, yeah. You know what? I got that name. You know what? Jose calls me Valentino.
Yeah.
If only he knew.
That's not a bad rider.
If only he knew. I'm not so sure it's going to fit, but if it doesn't, you'll just buy a bigger car. So Rip seemed pretty happy, and to be honest, I'm pretty happy the way it worked out. Another mitzvah in my collection that I know you have to do in Jewish folklore. You have to do 513 to get into heaven. Well, I don't know if my number is, I don't know where I am, but it can't be worse than 0, that's for sure. Anyway, time to get to work here. Time is money in our shop. And this is what John's been working on. This is just a little preview for me anyway. I'm going to make this a screensaver. It's the GS with the black wheels and the red pinstripe that matches the color of the Suzuki decal on a tank. And thank you, John. So this day is going to play out very strange because Karen we have to go grocery shopping. We're expecting a big giant snowstorm. I don't know what to do about this, but anyway, what I wanted to try to do is lay out all my tools that I'm going to need to do this job. So if I need any inventory, today is the day to go get some inventory if I need sandpaper or anything. So what I wanted to do with this tire, I wanted to kind of explain. There are a lot of areas, big flat areas I can just sand by hand, but the biggest one is what I'm trying to do is make part of the wheel that's a casting, not have the casting marks. They're sand casting or however they make the wheel. It's irrelevant. I want to get rid of that. And the lettering on the wheel, it says made in Japan and Suzuki and I love you and don't buy gefilte fish on Thursday. I want all that off the wheel. I want this to be a custom wheel. So this is something I need to grind off with either a Dremel tool or some attachment. And I think I do have some that'll work for that. These smooth areas I want to get, they have to be etched and rough. Now I'm leaving the tire on. I don't know what time I'm going to exactly take it off because one of the things I want to do, this helps me. It acts like somebody holding the tire. When I've taken the tire off early to do other work, doing all this grinding, the wheel keeps moving around. So having a tire on it seems like a good thing at this point in the job. Now here's the biggest thing is to have, and I'm going to have to buy some more of these little nail files to get up in there. Now most people wouldn't even bother with this, but what happens if I ignore little spots like that, I'm inviting a bubble into the paint, and then that piece of paint can chip out. So the detailing of this wheel is going to be very labor intensive, and I'll probably go through a couple of boxes of these nail files. And I do appreciate Scott sent me a bunch of these at one time,
and they work very well. And we did use these in modeling, of course, but the various grits. But see, this is the thing, to get down in some of these areas, and if you're not going to do this, if you're just going to take a spray can of barbecue paint and paint the wheel while it's on the bike on a windy day, well, I don't know, I don't have a lot of good advice for you, but if you're looking to make something really, really nice and time and effort are not of the essence, then this is one of the handy tools you'll want. And I'm going to, obviously, I'll see how many I have and pick up a box of them today. These are really handy, and they're ordinary nail files. They come in all different grits and relatively inexpensive. Very handy to have on a job like this. Another tool that's really handy is a roll of sticky back paper. Now what this allows you to do, here's what this is really good for. You can make any diameter you need when I want to get down in there. And a lot of this stuff I'm going to show in real time, but because I'm going out on an errand, and I'm going to be going probably past a Lowe's or a Home Depot, what I want to do is, see how nice this works and how convenient. Now if you try to do this by hand, you don't really get it. This is just another one of these handy little tools that they're priceless when you want to do that kind of a job. Another thing I have to see if I have enough sticky back. See what these are good for, and to show this, this is really a nice thing if you're not going to use it as a sticky back. Because see, you can hold this, and now edges like this, I can get at these edges very, very conveniently, and I can, in a matter of a minute or so, each spoke will take a minute or so, but I can be right down to nice smooth aluminum. But again, what's nice about this leaves an etched surface. This is not an etched surface. This is glass smooth. If I were to paint this, and then I'm going to try to put that red stripe around there, guaranteed the paint would come off. I've got it where the tape is going to go, and that's going to be this whole rim here. I've got to pretty much do something similar to this, and let me just show it real quick. Once I get down through the coating, there's either an anodizing or some kind of coating on this. And when my late friend George Venturini was alive, he owned an anodizing shop, and he, of course, I could take it to him and ask him exactly what coating it was. But now I know when I'm through the coating. The way you know you're through the coating is because the black is aluminum. That's how you tell if you've already sanded through the coating. And we have to sand all of the coating off, or that paint is not going to stick. Now the other day when I was out on an errand day with Karen, I organized all my aluminum, polishing paint, and all the chemicals. I've got it kind of sorted out now, and of course nothing is outside. It's really, really cold out there today, so I can take this bucket out because all of the stuff for grinding and polishing aluminum is in one bucket, and that's why I had it organized ahead of time. The things we're definitely going to want to use in the course of this job, I have several wire brushes that go onto electric drills, small wire brushes. These pads, extremely good for doing areas like that and that edge. Now where the most critical part of the whole motorcycle of this paint job is from where it meets the tire to here, because this is where it'll take a beating. And this is where, when you're mounting a tire, whether you use tools or the duct tape method, or if you're a magician and you just make it appear, this is where it's going to tend to get damaged. So right here, that surface, and once we remove the tire, we'll even roughen it up even more, because I want all the paint to stick in that edge. It's going to be a lot less prone to stick in here, but having all these tools, and I bought this tool for Vince's snowflake wheels. I bought 2 of these, in fact. This is real good for getting down in there. And we have a variety, the flap wheels, but what I'm going to try to do in the course of this is not going to be a one-day project, and I know it, but I'm willing to spend the time. But I do want it to be, when I look down and I see shiny high gloss black on all these surfaces, it'll be worth all the effort I spend. So this is probably one of the more important tools, and just the other day I put that nice little attachment on a wire so I don't have the plug in my way. This one still has to be done. I have my carbide cutters. These are really expensive. And I have the cheap stuff. This is the stuff I bought from Amazon. Now I'm probably going to use a lot of this, but it doesn't matter, because once this is done, now a good example is all these little wheels, the little attachments I got from Amazon. They'll get in there and they'll get down in there, and these things are they were $10 for about 100 of them. And what these are going to do, they're going to make my life a lot easier in the course of doing this job. Now, the biggest thing before I even start the job and before I fire up any of the tools, I've got to find, there's one carbide cutter I have somewhere here, and here it is, right here. I have this in my little, if Scott Smith is watching this, I still have this. I got this in the 70s. They gave me some kind of a Dremel tool award or something. It's irrelevant right now. But anyway, if you're looking, Scott Smith, I still have that. So here's the little thing, and it's carbide. And what this allows you to do is get in and get those numbers and letters off. And that's, I know most people wouldn't care. I care. I can get around and get that. And without this tool, that becomes almost impossible. But I always save that. But again, this is like an expensive cutter, so I don't want to waste it. I also need some of these real fine, I feel like a dentist here. So I can get into all these corners and edges and angles. And again, if you're looking to, if what your goal is to take your bike, and I know, because I've tried to do it already, is paint the wheel right on the bike and put some masking tape there and then hope the wind isn't blowing. No, this is not that kind of a job. This is a job where time and effort, it's like the Italians used to say when they built cathedrals. You have to approach a job like this as if time doesn't exist. So I prepped up, I did my inventory control, take a look around if there's anything else I need from the store here. I know basically what we need is groceries, because we're expecting to have 2 or 3 days of big snow. So having this in the shop, big advantage. And I hope in the next day or so I can get the red paint for the Ducati and hope we get that painted red before we get snowed in. When it's cold like this, several times a day I have to chop this ice. In this temperature, we are really cold. And this time of year, that's just part of why I enjoy being inside. Working on wheels inside, definitely not painting anything today. This will be a great day to do some wind mic testing. Maybe I will, in fact. Oh, is it bitter out here. Oh. Well, my birds are even freezing today as I get ready to go out. Oh. Let's make this a short shopping trip, Karen. Oh. And there is not a leaf on a tree. We are in the naked part of the year here. Man, how cold is it, Karen? Are we cold or what?
The wind chill is 0.
Wind chill is 0. Okay, Karen just filled me in. No wonder I'm cold. So step one, I want to go to my place with Karen and get some of those nail files out. And the wind is blowing. I know the wind is blowing so bad today. If you saw the wind blowing, I could probably go out and do WINDSLAYER testing today. Just stand out in the driveway. These are the good ones right here, the wide ones. These are really good. Boy, they got some selection of these. I want to get some of these for, I guess they're good for doing fingernails too. Anyway, all the beauty supply places have these. It was pretty funny, the shopping carts are blowing away today. Oh my God, what a windy day this turned out to be. And we are ready now, we even have potatoes in case there's a big potato famine coming our way with this snow. Boy, it is a good feeling to be home. That wind is howling. It's a WINDSLAYER test day, except it's 18 degrees. As soon as you get home, this is the key. Oh my God, that wind is blowing. Oh. Now, I just spoke to Turbo Steve and he had a great idea. The winds are howling at 40 miles an hour. Go try the thing for 10 seconds and we're going to do that. But this, of course, I'm going to do 10 seconds with the Canon. So because of the unique wind that's out there now, and it is gusting to 40, I should be able to get up, 8-10 seconds without the WINDSLAYER, and this is with the good WINDSLAYER. And it was good talking to Turbo Steve today. We agreed on a couple other things, and I'm going to share them before the video's over. Okay, so I'm out in the backyard, same place I was with the Canon. And just facing into the wind. I'm going to just let the camera run, see if I can record some wind noise. No WINDSLAYER. Okay, this is with the WINDSLAYER on. The mic is totally covered up from every direction. Just going to let this run and see what the wind sounds like. So before we start grinding away here, and again, I did talk to Turbo Steve about this. He bought a product at the, and I want to report on this. He bought a product at the Javits show that he said worked, and what he did, he put on 2 or 3 coats, and it seemed to work a lot better with the 3 coats. Not perfect, but again, it's an improvement. Now, I bought this for 2 reasons. I hate pulling out of my driveway, and as soon as I get the bike moving, the glasses fog up. So I'm going to try that the next time I ride, of course. But I'll keep in mind what Steve did. And that's the purpose of our channel, to share information. That's what, hopefully we're sharing information. I don't know. Maybe it's just propaganda. But anyway, I got an interesting thing. I did this on my bathroom. The mirror, I just put 1 coat on, and it got 50% better. At least I could shave without the fog. But I'm going to try now is put 3 or 4 coats on. I'll take some microfibers up there, and I'll report back tomorrow or the next day. But there might be something to this that you need more than 1 coat. I just wanted to pass that information on. Because right now, we're starting the meat and potatoes of the day, and I'm ready to get the hell out of that cold, and we did our camera test, and we bought groceries, and I'm ready. Actually, this is going to be labor intensive. It'll probably go over a couple of days, but I don't want to rush it. This is something I want to do to the best of my ability. This is a part of my, going to be part of my GS Evil Twin project that I am going to treasure until the day I die. So this is the little carbide cutter I want to start with, and this is carbide. This is usually pretty aggressive at cutting, so I have to be real careful with our little Harbor Freight Dremel tool. But here's what I want to do is I want to get most of this, and it's really step 1. I want to get most of this down to where I can, even if I have to sand it by hand. I don't want to have this showing in my custom wheels, and of course they got plenty of, I don't know what you would call it, identification, and you know, so, but that's the first step that I like to do, is get rid of that lettering, because it's only on one side of the rim, so we'll start on this side of the rim. So here's this word Suzuki that I want to get rid of. Carbide cutter, speed 4, should take it right down in a minute or so. Now, of course, we'll smooth that out, but basically we've got rid of all the casting marks. And that carbide tool, this will give us a plenty good bite for the primer, but I have to decide if I'm going to use that tool or what I'm going to use for the whole rim here. Actually, I always like to do this in just 1 step at a time. I've got to do these. I'll do these off camera, get rid of all of these. There's a few more up there. I don't know what else it says, you know, by gefilte fish sandwiches. Anyway, we'll do those off camera until they're all looking like that. So we got, everywhere there was lettering, we've got it removed. The carbide cutter did a really nice job. Now the next thing I want to see, because this is part of the job I have to, I want to see if I can just extend this out. And actually, even in here, I don't know if I can. Again, I've got all those little Dremel tools, but I'd like to get what would amount to be a big hoop that would kind of match this, not match it exactly, because I have to sand this too. But anywhere I can get with that tool, that carbide tool really does work. It actually goes pretty fast. Nice, so we got a nice band around there done. Has no casting marks at all on that. That'll just require a little hand sanding. And the next thing, I want to go down into the next level here and try to get that one leveled out, so that eventually I'll have this whole thing with no casting marks in it. And if I get that done, well, and I can do that with the carbide tool, I can do that by, actually I can do this by hand. Probably a lot of it's going to be done by hand. I want to do, my objective is to do the whole rim and then start on the spokes. So what I did, I used a wire brush on an electric drill to just try to do one segment just to see how this was going to work out. I think I've got it smooth enough because the primer is going to obviously fill in the scratches here, and then there'll be a lot of hand sanding. But what I want to do is go over this by hand, and that'll just make that a little bit smoother of a base. This side, when I go to the ones that aren't done yet, and I do it by hand, these are really rough. This one a lot smoother, but once it's primed and then the prime is sanded, that'll give it a nice base. And next thing I want to do is use this tool to get, I'm doing this segment right here and I want to try to finish it, but get the edge of this, and then I'll be ready to do some hand sanding, and I'll have, the idea is I'll have one segment done and then I can just go do 5 more and it'll be time for coffee. That did a real nice job of etching that. That's a nice ready for prime finish there. This I'm going to need a little hand sanding on that. It's not a big deal. A little hand sanding on that. And then I've got to get in here. I've got to make some kind of a tool. I guess a painting stick or something just to get the high points off of that. Because I want all those flat edges when that wheel spins to be like facets of a diamond. And this is why this becomes a labor of love. But the alternative is if you paint over that casting and it's all rough, you wind up putting tons of primer on that you don't have to put on. And in this, by doing it this way, you minimize the primer, maybe 1, 2, even 3 coats. And by the time you're done with that, this and hand sanding with, say, 400, that becomes just a perfect thing. Now, because it's so labor intensive, the idea here is never to rush it. Once you start rushing it, then whatever enjoyment you get out of it is gone. In the end, there's really no secret. It's a lot of hand labor. And this way, what you can do is you skip that trip to the gym, and you'll look like Arnold Schwarzenegger when you're done. Anyway, a lot of hand sanding here, but we will get this to where it's raw aluminum, not anodizing, and it will have a nice etched surface, and that first coat of self-etching primer will just grab to that like iron. And it looks like hand sanding with 180 is going to give me the grit that I want. I want those little scratches in there, that's for sure. I want that to be as just to get that grip to the primer. That is so important. And if you paint over any dirt, any grease, or anything that's glass smooth, you get into playing high-risk poker, high-risk painting. Now, every wheel, of course, is different, and this is one of the things I bought this off Amazon. It's a whole bag of these. I think it's 50 or something in there. But they're little brushes. I want to use these to get down into the corners as best I can, maybe up in here some. Again, what I'm trying to do is I'm doing one segment here. I want to do one segment complete. And then I know I have 5, well, I guess there's 6, 5 more segments to do. But I'm trying all different tools and hand sanding and grinding. And once I have a system that I'm going to be happy with, the rest will just be chunk, chunk, chunk. And I know from seeing how long this is taking to do, I know this may even be a 3-day job. But the big thing is to try all the different tools you have and be patient. Now this is what happens is you get the residual dust. I'm just going to show this. And what I do, I let it just fall onto the towel, and about every 10 minutes just run out and shake it out or replace the towel, because that's not, obviously not good to breathe. And if you're not shooting video, of course wear a mask. What that little tool looks like on the fake Dremel tool here, looks like that put a nice final etch, a nice final finish. And what we really have to do now is just knuckle down. 5 more segments to do. The one is done, and I'll do these off camera. Using all the tools I've got at my disposal here, we have a rough idea. I should be able to finish the rim today. I'm really not too concerned about this, but as I'm going here, I'm doing the inside edges. Then I'm going to have to do these. Again, if you just keep in mind, this is a lot of work. And when you're done, you'll have something really, really unique.
Now, one final tool that's been handy is the little sanding drums. If I do this at a low speed, I can get a nice cut, reasonably nice cut. Now, ultimately, the last thing on every job like this is just the sand detailing. Any little imperfections we see in this. And I'm trying to radius everything off, 180 grit sandpaper. Trying to get in all the corners and angles and edges. And just being as fussy as I possibly can be here. But I think realistically what we're going to get, the only thing we're going to get is one side of the wheel done today. So there's no point getting frustrated. We've had a good day. I tried to show all the tools and all the things I've used to do a job like this. And every wheel is just a little bit easier. And if there's any other tricks I learn along the way, we're certainly going to pass them on. And this is just, when you know at the end of a job like this, you really do know what a labor of love is. That's for sure. And that's all the crud and oxidation we've got off the wheel. I'll just take this outside, shake it out, and throw the towel in the laundry. Whether or not this was quite a bit of work, we have one side done. That's got a proper scratch and etch on it. And I just couldn't be happier with that. I think that's going to be fine. We are really, well, I'm amazed we got this much done today because we had so many errands to do. But we'll have another day to do the backside and we'll be pretty much ready for the first coat of primer. And it's a dirty job. The cleanup now is going to be lengthy, but you need simple tools, a lot of energy, and a passion for old motorcycles. And when you have that, I'm not sure you're a sick person like I am. Anyway, it doesn't even matter. I want to thank the healthcare workers for keeping me from not getting sick. Boy, I am so thankful. Thank you guys, one and all. I have been to the doctor this week for several times, and they've released me and said, you're in good shape, Mr. Ertnowski, yeah, but don't ride any more motorcycles. So I don't do what the doctor says anyway. I just do what Karen says. That's what keeps me alive. But again, thank you, healthcare workers. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope some of these projects that we do in the shop are appealing to you. Thank you, Turbo Steve, sharing information. I hope sooner or later we're going to have better sound on our videos, and maybe Turbo Steve will have a better paint on his award-winning bikes. I don't know. But I know by sharing, it's a good way to live. And thank you very much for watching. So I felt really good today getting that first half of the wheel done. I thought that was a good accomplishment. We're set up now for tomorrow for the next day in the shop. I was really happy to see Rip was happy with his project, and he'll get his bike back on the road soon, I'm sure. It was a really good day. I had a lengthy chat with Turbo Steve, and we've been able to help each other with this WINDSLAYER thing. And I think we finally made some progress today. If you go back and look at that, that looks like this one works a lot better than the original one. I tried to share and show how I use some of these tools to do this type of a job on the wheel. And one of the main things is that have helped me over the years is John Pothier has always made me concept sketches and concept things that I can use for reference of things I want to do to the bike. And sometimes we've done these things and I've totally poo-pooed the idea, so thank you, John. And thank you guys so much for watching.